Hi everybody, hopefully you can hear me okay. I did just have my microphone on mute, so that definitely didn't help. But do let me know if the audio sound, like you can hear me okay, it's not too loud, the background music is a good volume. I've just got this page open because I think this is sort of like the style that I want to go for today, and also it helps to focus the camera. Hi Hannah, oh lovely to see you, I'm so glad you could make it live. I'm going to give us 5 minutes or so and get some of my paints ready to squeeze them onto my palette. But I hope you're all doing okay and having a good day so far. Hi Vicky. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Hannah. And hi Kate. It's nice to have you all here live. I'm really looking forward to today's session. I'm really looking forward to painting these references. I think that they're definitely my kind of vibe. Obviously it's like lots of green, which is always a good thing. Hi Christiane, lovely to see you. So instantly I've made my water green. And usually I start with like the sky, because obviously our first reference is the tower one and like the clock tower, so I definitely shouldn't have done that, but let's try and get some white on here. So I'm using gouache today. I mean, I've basically got everything out. I've got my Neo colours, pan pastels. I want to try that over the top just to like soften things up, and like coloured pencils, basically anything I could possibly need, just so I have all of the options. And I've also got like Tombos out, so we'll see what I grab. Oh hi Cat, Wonder Cat. Oh, it's so cool you're coming from Australia. I think that might be the furthest we have actually. Thanks for joining. I know it's quite late for you. Okay, so I'm putting out the basic colours. So I've got white, green. These are the tubbed gouache, because I obviously use so much of these colours that I decided to get like the cheaper brand, because I mix them anyway, and it's so much cheaper getting this big tub. I think this was like £5. This is 50ml, whereas the designer's gouache is 14ml, and these are about £5 each anyway. So that's why I like to use these, because I mix them in with other colours. So those are very important today. And then I've also, I think I'll put a warm grey out and an ochre. If you are drawing along and following along, please do let me know what you're using, or if you're working on your own thing, what are you up to? I've also got my big chunky beige Posca, which is what I've used here actually for like this base here of the road and the church and the building. So I do find these quite useful. So I might use this at the end for the house, but you can see it's like a chisel nib, so it's really helpful for putting down a big block of colour. Vicky's using alcohol markers and colour pencils. Oh nice. I'm still a bit scared of alcohol markers. I do have quite a lot, but I was thinking of selling them or giving them away to a local charity, because I just don't use them. Whereas my like Tombow brush markers, I use them all the time and I find them easier to layer. Okay, so let's just get the first reference up. I won't start the timer quite yet, but that's the first reference, so let me shift everything around, because I am working in panels. So I've prepped my page already, and I've also got another sketchbook with the exact same layout, which I'll move into. Oh hi TJ, oh lovely to have you here. Christiane's using brush pens and coloured pencils. Kate is using Arteza gouache. Oh, we had a chat about using paint after last time and just going for it, so I'm glad that you're using gouache just like me. Oh, there. I always think halfway through a live that paint would be easier, so just going through it. I think that's a good choice, and hopefully it will dry in time for us. Kat's using everything. Oh, hi Emma, welcome in. So yeah, I'm just about to start our timer. So we have got 10 minutes for this first one. I was thinking of like doing this as a warm up as like just 5 minutes, but that was a little bit. Oh, no reference picture. Thank you, Vicky. That's really helpful. They've changed the streaming software, so I have got it on like my edit screen, and then I forget to transition it over to live. So thank you for letting me know. Hopefully you can see it now. I'll have to remember that when I do the next one. But thank you for letting me know. Hopefully you can see it now. There is a delay on the stream, so from what I'm doing live and what you're seeing. Right, I think that's all good. So, yeah, we've got 10 minutes for this first one. So, I'm going to start our timer. Oh, I always get really nervous, like suddenly we have to go for it, but I'm going to try and take my time, keep it really chill. So, I've just started our 10 minutes now. So, I'm going to start with the blue of the sky. And I do find it easier with brush pens or with gouache of putting down the block colours first. So that's my plan here. Just trying to work out what colour to do that clock tower. It's kind of an off-white. Maybe I'll mix it with the ochre. And then I think I'll add on all the details with coloured pencils. So like all the like wooden details. Let's add in the roof. And I'm just using like the big brush to lay it in first, and then I can neaten it up later. I mean, as with the wonky greenhouse I did the other day, the perspective is a little bit off, but it definitely adds charm. That's what I always say, so we'll go with that. And then my computer is being very loud. I don't think it is happy that with like the amount of power that streaming takes, so apologies if you can hear like a whirring sound. I was trying to work out all the lighting for ages, and it changes every time, but I was really like conscious that, you know, whenever we have a live stream, the lighting goes in and out, so I was really trying hard to not have that happen this time, because I want it to be a bit, you know, I try and be professional with these things, and sometimes the tech issues make it less so. So I'm hoping today we're going to be alright. It looks okay at the moment, so that's good. Okay, so I'm just putting in the big scribbles of bushes down here, and then there's some darker trees back here, which I'll probably darken with, I haven't got a brown out, so I'll probably darken it with the coloured pencils. Let's do a time check. We've got 6 minutes and 43 seconds left. So we're still over halfway. Generally I find when I do timed works and when I check what time we're on, the base layer takes about half the time, and then I spend the other half doing details. And luckily this gouache, and I think depending on where you live, I think that has a big factor, but it does dry quite quickly here, which is always helpful because then I can layer on the details layer quite quickly for timed work. So I'm just adding in the ochre for the path. It's not the colour that it is in the picture, but I prefer this warmer colour. Let's fill this space. Okay. Just neaten up the side of this. So there is a roof here, but I'm just going to use the green and do a tree here. And just change the reference depending on how I want it. And then I want some grey for the clouds. So I'm just going to grab an Ecoline brush pen and do my little scribbles up here. Okay. And now I'm going to go in with the details and do the coloured pencils. And just neaten things up a little bit. So I haven't got the references up from the Patreon post at the moment, so I'm working quite small. From the reference is quite small, so some of this I might have to guess a little bit. But for the next one I'm going to try and get the big ones up. They are linked in the post I put out this morning, if you do want to see the reference photos bigger. So I'm going to try and put in some shading. Really I want my warm grey, but when we are on a time crunch I can never find the colour that I want. Okay. And then I'm going to put in this like wooden beam details, and for windows I really like using, not that colour, dark indigo, even though it's not completely accurate. And I don't want to forget the clock, that's quite important. So like when I am doing timed work, I try and include the bits that I know I want to add in, like I don't want it to be missed. So that doesn't look anything like a clock. I might go in later and finish these off if you want more time. Also you don't have to just spend 10 minutes. If you want to spend longer, then by all means carry on whilst we move on to the next one. It's completely up to you how you want to work, but these are just suggestions and how I'm going to be drawing along today. I am definitely running out of time. We have 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. And sometimes it is surprising actually how much you can get done in a short amount of time. So maybe I'll surprise myself and get this done. Let's add a bit more shadow. So I think I want to go a bit darker up here just to blend in this dark indigo colour a bit more. And then I'm going to go in with greens. So I've been really enjoying like using the pencils on their sides lately to add more texture. So it is a little bit, some areas are still a little bit wet, but mostly this is dry, so I can go in now to add in all my texture and my little scribbles. Oh, it's really blurry. I hope it's not blurry. I hope that's not my end. because I have been having some issues with my internet as well. Hopefully maybe it'll come back, Vicky, hopefully. You could go really abstract with the references because it's so blurry. Okay, so we have got 52 seconds left. So last little flourish. Let's add some big scribbles in this tree. So like this last minute or so is where you can add in any last bits that you think are interesting and that you wanted to include. I'm going to add in some more colour to the sky. Yeah, that 10 minutes definitely went quick. So I'm really glad I didn't give us 5 minutes. It's not the neatest little sketch, but it's a good warm-up for us. Although a lot of the references today are 10 to 15 minutes. So. Okay, there's our timer. You know, I always like to say you've got a little bit of extra time if you did want to add anything in. I'm going to leave that one there. I don't think I really captured the right shape, and that should have come in there, so I'm just going to add that in. You know, I'm not like super strict with timing, so if you need to add on any extra bits, you can do it now. Yeah, that's okay. It's a good warm-up. He's a little bit wonky. I'm going to add the time down here so I don't forget. 10 minutes. And then I'll get our next reference ready. I've pressed the transition button, so hopefully that's worked, and we've got the new reference on the screen. So we've got this thistle. So I don't often use purple in my work, so it's slightly different for me. I am just going to get up a bigger reference. And we have 15 minutes on this one. So I hope your first one went okay and you feel a bit more warmed up now. And then I will start our timer. Thanks, Hannah. Let me make it a little bigger. Okay, I'm just going to make it a bit bigger on the screen, just to help us out a little bit. And okay, I think we're ready. So I'm going to do this in the time. I'm going to put some purple onto my palette. I'm using this purple lake gouache. But we have 15 minutes with this one. And our time starts now. So I don't think this is quite the right purple, but I'm hoping if I mix it in with the white and maybe even a Tombow could work. But we'll see how we go. So again, I'm going to start with laying down the base shapes and the base colours first. So I think I'm going to start with the purple because that's like the main bit that I want to capture. It's a very vibrant purple, which is definitely not a colour I often use. But I mostly want to get that one in, the purple one, and then if I don't fit the other ones on, it doesn't matter too much. And then it kind of goes into like a greeny brown underneath. And I think this one will come in handy with, the pencils will come in handy to blend it all in and add on all those like lovely triangle shapes. Out of breath for the first one, Emma. Well done. You're doing great. I really am impressed with your fast sketches from last time, because I know you don't often work in that way. but I think this one is going to go really quick for us. So I think I'll come in with, I mean that's not very big, but I think I'm going to come in with coloured pencils for this one, and then hopefully it'll turn out okay. I just thought this one was really interesting and different to what I would normally pick as well, so I thought we can just come out of our comfort zones a little bit together, because that always feels a bit less scary when we're drawing as a group. Okay, and then we've got this one up here. This one's more of a brown. I haven't got a brown on my palette, so I'm just going to put a blob down and then do the green. So lots of green in this one. It's kind of a blue green for the thistle. And I'm not going to be super accurate with the leaves. I'm just going to like suggest the shapes, and then I'll refine it again with the coloured pencils, but I don't think it matters too much because it's actually quite a complicated background. So I'm just going to pick out, obviously I know that they're leaves, so I'm going to do some basic leaf shapes, and then the viewer actually does a lot of work for you in terms of filling things in. So don't worry too much about not having every single leaf in there or every single background element, because I think it's obvious to the viewer that these are going to be flowers, so you don't need to worry too much. Oops. So I want this to be quite light, and then I'll go for a yellower, because that's a blue-green, I'm going to go for a yellower green just to try and distinguish the background from the foreground. And I think the coloured pencils will help again with that. So I'm not being neat here at all, but when I come in with my coloured pencils I'm going to go around these shapes. There's some more purple in the background. I'm not sure if I'm going to put that in. And then do I want to add in the brick wall? I think I'm just going to stick to the green. I'm going to change the reference again and not add in the brick wall, because for me I want to just focus on the flowers. So I'm just going to pretend it's not there. Okay. So there's my very messy first base layer. This is looking really pink on the camera. It's a little bit more purple in real life, but I definitely didn't mix up the perfect shade. So I might use a Neo colour actually to try and get those pointy shapes in and make it a bit more purple. So the time check, we've got 9 minutes 50. So we're a little bit over a third of the way. These spiky bits are really hard to show, but I think the suggestion of it is there. I might go in with because I don't keep my Neo colours super sharp, I think I'll go in with a coloured pencil just to fill in around it. Maybe a dark brown, and start mapping out those pointy shapes, which I think is what makes it more thistle-like. I don't think I've ever drawn a thistle before, not at this scale. I did do a thistle for the Patreon display, but that was really small, so I didn't do all these little details. So So I don't want to get too bogged down in this bit. I'm just going to try and suggest them, because there's so much detail to this when you start really looking at what you're drawing, because obviously with timed things you kind of squint a little bit, you have to work really fast, and it's very easy to try and get everything right, but I don't think that's possible with these sort of timed sketches. So if you are finding this difficult, then don't worry, because like that's totally normal. There's a lot to this reference image, so I wasn't making it very easy for you, but just try and focus on like simplifying the shapes, and like don't worry too much about the shading or anything like that, because it's very difficult to get all of that in, especially in 15 minutes. So like maybe I need to simplify it even more, because I want to get onto the other ones. And then add on some details. So the stripy little stems for the flower heads. And then this is the bit where I really wanted to define the leaf shapes from the background. So I went for a lighter background colour. I'm actually going darker here, just to try and define those shapes a bit more and distinguish it from the flowers. It also is a really nice way to add texture to the piece. Oh, there's a DPD man just turned up. He's coming to my house. I might have to go answer the door. Everybody carry on, and I'm going to go answer the door. Okay, I'm back. I hope your thistles are going okay. How much did we lose? We have 5 minutes 25 left. So I've got quite a lot to do on this picture. It's definitely nowhere near where I want it to be, and also not at all how I imagined. So I'm going to work quite quickly to fill in a bit more of this. I think I'm going to go quite simple for these ones, because maybe I'll go darker. This isn't at all how I imagined it. You know when you have like an idea in your head of how a piece is going to turn out when you see the reference? This is not what I imagined. So I think this will probably need longer afterwards, and that's totally fine too. I'm not going to write down the time, and then I can adjust it when I've added on extra time myself, probably after the live stream. But I do find actually I take more risks when I am being timed. I don't know if you will find that too, but I'm a bit less, like with the pink house collage, I was very umming and ahhing, and that's because I didn't make a quick decision. And sometimes I think that's detrimental for the way that I work, because I worry too much about the end result. So I don't know if I would have, added on this dark indigo if I wasn't on a timer and suddenly thought, this isn't working, I need to fix it. Yeah. I don't know if this is working, but I think it just probably needs more time. I'm just gonna add on the spiky things up here on this thistle. This one looks a bit past its best, so not quite as vibrant. So you can see I'm really going simplified, like with the shapes, compared to this one I was trying to get like the different colours of the spikes in. Taking risks is one way to describe it. Making a mess is what you're doing. Mess is also totally valid. Yeah, so I'm really simplifying these spikes at the bottom. But like, you can still kind of tell it's the same flower, which is quite interesting. How long do we have left? Oh, we have 2 minutes 40, so we're not doing too badly. I'm going to add in a bit of shading on these leaves. Hannah's also making a mess. Oh, and I also need to do the spikes on this one. So again, I'm going to go with like the super simple, just like triangles that I'm just drawing on, rather than worrying about every single colour in there, because these are like blue and purple and green and brown. And you can all shout at me for choosing a really difficult reference, that's totally fine. I didn't think it would be this hard and I'm really sorry. I wonder, like, I always find it interesting how I would tackle it if I had more time. So like, I think that's a really good exercise as well. If you're stuck on what to draw, then you can maybe do some of these exercises with longer time, like 40 minutes instead of 15, and see what choices you make when you've got that extra time to think about it. Because like, obviously with these quick ones we don't think about the composition, we don't really think about you know, where things are on the page, because we don't have time to do that. So I think that's always an interesting way to work as well. I mess with Emma too. Okay, well, we're all just making messes and maybe taking risks. But I think that's a lot of fun, so thank you for making messes with me. And we have a minute left, so just check the timer. So I'm just trying to work out, I don't think I want to bring this blue up all of the way. I might try and like fade it out, because I've come on a little bit more than I thought. So I'm either going to like leave it like this and not come back to it after the this drawing session, or maybe I will. I'm not sure what else I can add to this. I might add some more purple, because I never use purple, so I might as well try and use every shade of purple I have in this one image. And I think I do prefer like these simpler shapes. So I could have gone really simple like I did there with this one. Okay. So there's our timer. Emma says you maybe do the thistle in your normal way. Oh, you feel you need to. I think that would look lovely in your style, actually. You could use that as like, if you get a flower prompt in your little jar, you could do the thistle. Vicky, flowers have always been your nemesis. Hannah saying purples are making the way out of the cobwebs. Yeah, exactly. I have so many purples in this box of Nia colours, and I never use them. So, okay, so there's my thistle. The next one we've got is, I think, also, oh, the next one's 20 minutes. So I'm just going to get the timer up, the reference up first. Now this one is also quite complicated, but I do think we can simplify it. I think I'm going to try and do like a negative space sort of thing on the greenhouse. So I'm going to do a layer of green and then draw in around like the frame with the dark indigo. So like, see all the little pane shapes, I'm going to draw those in around rather than do the lines of the greenhouse, I think. So I might keep that area like more blank but I will put my green base down. So I think this one's going to be quite interesting. And I would like to use my pan pastels today, so I've got to try and allow time for that. Usually I use those when I'm not on a timer, so that will be quite interesting, I think. Let's try and get this side in for you. So yeah, we do have 20 minutes, so I'm going to try and get in obviously the greenhouse, this big lawn, and then these nice flowers in the front, and try and simplify it again. So let's just get the timer up, and I'm going to start the timer now. So again, I'm going to put the sky in, and I need some more white. Kate can confirm paint is a lot easier. I'm finding it really easy to put down all the base shapes first. That definitely makes it quicker for timings, doesn't it? Okay. Not sure if I'm going to do the leaves up here from the neighbouring tree. I think that might just confuse the image a bit, so I might change the reference again. And I think that's something that I'm really learning recently, is that I don't have to stick true to the reference. It's okay to make it, I can't remember who I talked to you about this. Maybe it was on Mar, but basically the way that we can change the picture to suit us. And it's the same with plein air work. I often just see the thing in front of me and be like, oh, I have to draw it like that. But actually, as artists, we have the artistic license to change that. So why don't we lean into that and make it work for us? Which I think is a really interesting topic and idea. And I do think that's something that I'm getting more confident with, and understanding what is in my comfort zone and what's not. So what can I change to this reference picture to make it work for the final image? So this is the basic, you can't see this, there is a very light shape here for the greenhouse, and then this sort of brick bottom. So very basic shape for the greenhouse, and then I'm going to put in this big lawn. And I'm doing all of this first because I do want to put some pan pastel on it, so I want this to dry in time. But we do have 20 minutes, so it does go quicker on the live streams, that's for sure. But I think that will be plenty of time. So, and then I'll go for a darker green for this flower bush here. Christiane, I am allowed to change the reference pictures. These are so out of your comfort zone. Oh, I'm sorry, Christiane, but absolutely change them. And if you want more time, then you can just stick to the one, or you could draw your own thing. That's totally fine. But thank you for being here, despite it being completely out of your comfort zone. I do find that sometimes I need that push. Sometimes there's a lot of Patreon sessions with other patrons that I'm part of that I wouldn't normally do, and sometimes I surprise myself with stuff like that. But there is also obviously a limit to that, and if you want to just draw the things you want to draw, then I think that's totally valid as well. So I'm just putting in the darker trees at the back behind the greenhouse. And try and get that shape in. So again, there's another wall here, but I'm just going to stick with the green. Oh, thanks, Vicky. I think there are good things and bad things on sticking in your comfort zone. And it's totally valid to just do the things that you want to do. if you enjoy them. And like, I know I do a lot of landscapes because I know I love doing them, so that's definitely in my comfort zone. But I do find it very rewarding when I do something out of my comfort zone and it pays off, you know. And then that pushes me a bit more for next time of trying something different. So I'm trying to get in some of the texture here at the front. I'm going to add in a bit of purple to my green just to tone it down a bit. That makes it a bit more of a brown earthy green. I'm adding some purple in, so that's always a good little tip. And some more yellow, because I don't want this to be the same colour as the lawn, but I haven't left any room for the flowers actually. So like, I could keep some areas white for the flower heads. Not in the same layout as they are in the picture, but I've only just remembered them, so I'm going to change the reference there. And then I think I'll go dark down here as well. So there are a lot of shadows on this bush, so I'm going to go in with probably Neocolor or pencil for that when this layer has dried. It's kind of hard to see this edge of the greenhouse, so I'm just going to have to just cover it up with some greenery. And that's always a good tip as well, is if you can't see like the angles properly, just hide it or put a bush there and pretend you don't have to tackle it. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit. It's drying already, which is good. I did the sky first, so I'm going to add a bit to that with my Neocolors. So I've got the white, and then my favourite, which is, I think this one should be called sky blue, but this one's called light cobalt blue. And then the sky blue is this more cornflower blue, which is definitely a favourite recently. I might try and use that down here actually. I'm just gonna blend together this gouache in the sky a little bit more. These timed ones are always where I end up snapping my Neocolors because I'm being too heavy-handed, and I really don't want to snap anymore, so I'm trying to be careful. Okay, let's just do a time check. We have 12 minutes 50, so we're still well over halfway, which is good. I think there's definitely a lot of simplification you can do with this image, which is helpful for you know, giving us a bit more time. So it's not quite dry down there. So this is dry, so I'm going to stop avoiding it and I'm going to go in with the greenhouse. I'm going to put some basic shapes down so I know where the roof line is, which is there. And then I said I was going to do negative shape, but I think this helps just to give me some guidelines. And then I'm going to go in with a really dark colour for the window panes. And obviously if you have time you can draw the little like flower pots out the front. I think they're really sweet. But for now I think I'm just gonna, oh, you can see my indecision of like putting down a colour. I'm just gonna sharpen my pencil, because I think this is like the bit that I'm looking forward to the most, is adding on these details on the greenhouse. But it's also a little bit nerve-wracking because I want it, like this to me is like the main point of the picture. It's also at a slight angle, which is a little bit odd, and I'm kind of gone skew with for all of it, so it's just kind of just the suggestion, I suppose, of like lots of windows, which is obviously what makes it a greenhouse in the first place. So some of these are blocked off in sections. Okay. And I always like simplifying windows like this, of just doing like a big rectangle for each piece of glass. Just how I do like the windows on the on houses and things. So I kind of see it as like part of my style now. Okay, some of these sections, this one has 3, this one has 4 panes, and this one now has 5, so we're just getting bigger. But I think the point is that it looks like a greenhouse, so let's add another one here. Okay, I think that's okay. Let's keep going. And then I'll have to do them to the roof as well. We'll go with 5. And I'll do it right up to that bush that I put in, so it looks like there's actually a bush in front of it. Okay, I think that's alright. I think it's going to be a bit harder up here. But I'm going to continue with this colour, so then it's obvious it's still glass up there. Although I think they're a bit longer. Let's make them longer. Okay, I'm basically just making up this pattern as we go. I think they're supposed to be like this. I think I just have to stick to one pattern and go with that. Okay. So again, I'm like really simplifying the greenhouse image, because otherwise like it would be impossible to do it in 20 minutes. I don't know if that looks like a greenhouse. I'm gonna add in a darker line here. Gone a bit wonky with those, but okay. I can't tell if that looks like a greenhouse, but I mean, it doesn't look like a normal house, so by that sort of logic, it has to be a greenhouse. I'm gonna just do the suggestions of pots at the front here, because I think that's fun, and like keep those really simple as well. Do some lines on this. And then I'm going to add on the pan pastel which I mentioned. So I'm going to use this Hansa Yellow Extra Dark, and I think the lawn would be nice with the yellow ochre as well. So I'm going to add that on before I forget. Let's see how that looks on here. Just softens things, I think, and blends over the gouache quite nicely. I mean, I didn't dislike the texture that was there before, but it is nice just experimenting with this new medium to me, so I don't know if that shows much. I have been quite careful with it, and then what I like doing is doing some lawn lines. Let's do a time check for you all. 5 minutes 50 seconds left. So I'm gonna, oh, that's probably the wrong green for this, but there we go. And then to add on some colour, I am going to go in. We obviously have those flowers at the front. They are more pink. Oops. They are more pink, but I want to use my little blue, so we'll go. Maybe I'll put some pink in as well. We'll do some pink and blue flowers. And add some lines. So I do have like my really dark green, wherever it's gone. Here it is. The dark phthalo green. But when I want really like even darker, I really like using the dark indigo. And I think I can get away with it on this one, but I find that's sometimes a really nice way to add in really dark lines. It kind of comes out black on green. There, can you? Hopefully you can see that. So that's a really nice way to add on an even darker shade. So let's add some more leafy things. Some scribbles, suggestion of a very bushy bush here, and then some more texture using like the side of my pencil. Okay, I think this is turning out okay. Let's add some more scribbles here. I do like the texture that the pan pastels give in this one. So coming in with some more near colour just to add a bit more texture. How long do we have left? We still have 3 minutes and 12 seconds left, so I'm actually doing alright time-wise on this one. I'm not rushing. I feel like I've done all the things I want to do, so now I have to be careful of not overworking. I've also got pan pastel all over this spread on this side, so let's add some yellow. Yeah, I have to be careful not to overwork it now. I can just step away there, but because I am trying to use more texture lately, I find that that's always a good way to use the extra time. Okay. I'm not sure there's much more I can add to this one. Christian, oh, you do like your little greenhouse. This reference was more fun than you expected. Oh, that's really lovely to hear. I'm glad. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I thought this one would be like the hardest, but I've actually found it the easiest to simplify. Probably because it's like further away and it's just a lot of windows. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. Maybe I'll add some blue in the sky. I think I'm not going to buy any more pan pastels, but the one that's kind of on my wish list, if I do decide to, would be a really light blue. I have a dark blue, the Payne's Grey, but it's too dark for like where I would want to use it in the sky, so if I do decide to get any more, I think that would be my next purchase, because I am really enjoying them for texture. Okay, so I'm going to call it there, but you all have another minute left. So I haven't finished well early, but if you need to add on any last bits, then, oh, look at me still going, you have a minute. I'm going to try and rub out the pan pastel I put on this page. That's the other thing, is like it's really easy to erase, and that's another thing I found with my experiment was like you can erase lawn lines here with like a really fine rubber over the pastel, which is a really interesting technique. But it does come off really easily. So like you could do a whole base of pan pastel and then erase, like use the eraser as your line. That might be an interesting experiment. Okay. The camera's not picking up. Oh. It's not picking up the texture massively, but there's our timer. So that was 20 minutes. I'm just gonna check that. Okay, it's all in focus, that's good. So I'm going to get our next reference up. Oops, I almost deleted it. Here. So this one is indoors. So the idea I had was like we're looking at the greenhouse and then we're moving inside the greenhouse. So this one isn't my image. This is from Pexels. But the images that I did take in this actual greenhouse in Laycock was like way too complicated, so I thought I'd go simple and we can use this still life, and like if it's too much for you then you could just focus on the vase and the shears maybe in the front, depending on how you want to work, but we do have 20 minutes for this one. So again I'm going to work in my second panel. The lighting seems a bit bright, but I think once I put stuff on here I think that will help. And I'm making a mess everywhere. I'm getting gouache on literally everything. So yeah, again I'm going to go with gouache for this one. I think I'm going to put down some very basic shapes and then go around it with some lines. Often I don't do line work, so I'll see how we go. But I am going to start our 20-minute timer because I'm running a little bit late as always. But our 20-minute timer starts now. I also need a drink because I've been talking too much. So I haven't done a still life in a long time. I keep meaning to go back to Emma Carlisle's still life sessions from last month from her Patreon and do those, but I haven't yet, so hopefully this will be good practice. Okay, let's work out what we're doing. So I'm going to start with these shears at the bottom and just very basic. Like that's not the right green at all, but the Tombow might have been a better green for that actually. Just very, I am trying to keep things really loose recently, and drawing with your paintbrush is another good way to do that. So I will come in with coloured pencils to neaten and tidy this up, but let's put in this vase, like flower vase. I want this to be my main. I think I've gone too low for it, so I might make it a bit bigger. And also actually, because my grey is quite muddy there, I'm going to come in with this eco line. Because my water is very dirty now, I think it's really showing, so I'm going to swap to the eco line. Just to put that vase in. So I've gone really low with this one. Yeah, that green looks... Whoa, okay, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just going to fix this. Your screen's too blurred for this one, can't distinguish details. Oh, that's a shame, I'm sorry, Vicky. I can see that my thing is too overexposed, so I'm going to fix that my end. But the I think it's just the lighting. I think the blurriness is okay. Let's bring that down. Oh, a good tip from Kate for water is to have 2 jars, one for brush washing and one for using to paint. That's a really good idea. Definitely something I need to do. Hopefully that's better. Apply, okay. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I'll just keep my eye on that. I might have to fix it later. Yeah, having 2 pots of water is a really good idea. I don't know why I don't do that. Because especially when I use green paint, it automatically just instantly makes my water dirty. So I haven't mixed a dark colour, so I'm just going to use this colour for the pot for the cactus. Again, I'm just going to keep things really, really basic. I think it's not liking that I'm using really light colours on this one, so I might have to go in dark. But first I'm going to mix up a pot colour for that pot plant in the back. Oh, okay, Vicky. Internet issues are so annoying, aren't they? Because there's literally nothing now we can do. We just have to wait for them to fix it. Okay. So this is going to look a bit floaty, I think, until I put in the wooden table. I mean, it's all looking a bit floaty at this point, and it's all very grey. So I think I'm going to, what shall I use for that? I think I'll use an Tombow. Just going to see what colour that is. And I'm just going to put that in now, just to kind of like ground everything. There's another pot here. I haven't got the composition on this right because I didn't sketch first, but that was a choice I made not to sketch first. So then we've got another pot here. So I'm hoping by putting in this colour it will give us some grounding to everything, make it look a bit like it is on the garden bench, because at the moment it's all floating and it's all a bit all over the place. So this is quite a tricky one. I did think it would be tricky, so I gave us a little bit longer, but I think 20 minutes is still not very generous. So with the brush markers, let's put in the gloves. With the brush markers, you can really see. So I'm not doing very good at talking and drawing today. You can really see where you've like overlapped it, so that I can really see, obviously, where I've gone over where it's dried, because they do dry so fast. But I'm trying to lean into that. And see it just as extra texture, but I also will add on maybe some pastel to try and blend it together. That's what I found really worked with landscapes. So when I put down like a field and you can see where I've overlapped things, the pastel then blends it all in for me, which is a little bit harder to do obviously with such a small thing like this table, because there's so much stuff on it, but I might see how it goes. So there's my basic composition. The colour's completely different on here. It's a little bit warmer in real life. So I'll fix that for the next image, I think. But I'm going to put in another big pot here. Let's go lighter. because it's all very one tone at the moment. So up here I'm going to go in with my green and try and tie it all back in. Maybe I'll pretend that this is a window. So we'll pretend that it's looking out onto this lawn. I think that might help. Just to add a bit of context that we're in the greenhouse. Because I think in this image it's just a brick wall behind. Okay. Okay, so I think that's my base layer done. Oh, the colour's a little bit, the brightness is a bit better. I have obviously changed quite a lot about this reference image. I'm just going to grab a grey pencil. Just to try and outline some of this, I'm also going to fill in the middle of this vase with another eco line, slightly darker grey this time. I'm also looking forward to adding on that text, so like there are things that I'm interested in this image, more so than other bits, so I want to try and add those in as like my priority. So I might do that next. Just add some lines. This isn't my usual style of like outlining, but I think it will work for this one because I think it needs that like definition. Oh, hi Han. Oh, no worries at all. There's no such thing as late. Just hop in whenever you can. It's lovely to have you here. We are halfway through, so time check, we've got 10 minutes and 23 seconds left on this one. So if you wanted to do a quick study, then by all means jump in. But you can also spend longer on it when we move on to the next one, depending on how quick you want to draw today. So I probably should be, you know, like looking at the rest of this image and adding in, but I really want to add on this little motif, so I'm just following where my interest is at the moment with this image. And this is a lot darker, this line, compared to the rest, so I will need to bring it in elsewhere in the picture to make it work, I think. So let's add on the typography. I mean, I've put this on a lot lower than it is in the reference, but okay. So that's in. This is really throwing off the white balance. I'm just going to add on a bit more shading. Using it on its side. These luminants are really good for that. And then I'm going to try and start adding this indigo elsewhere on the page. I also want to add in that cactus, which I've forgotten about. So let's add him in now. Oh, that looks a bit... Let's make it a big cactus. Let's not do that. Okay. This isn't it. Is this? Okay, this isn't the indigo. This is the Payne's grey actually, so it's not as dark. But I do want to use it elsewhere in the image. Just to tie it all in. And like, I don't think it matters if I go over things, because that's clearly like I'm not going precise with this image. So like, you can play with the text, or you could have like a really straight line instead of, not texture, sorry, the perspective. So that was something that I was playing with when I was doing the Cézanne studies. So like, you don't have to get the perspective right at all. because like even really great famous painters played with that. So like instead of it being round, you could just do it straight on, and play with things like that, which is really interesting, and that gave me a lot of confidence for playing as well, seeing that a lot of the, you know, famous great artists also did that. We don't have to make things realistic for it to work. Okay, so I don't want to outline everything, I'm getting a bit carried away, so I'm going to put that down. And I'm going to add on some leaves up here for this plant. I think I'm being a bit cautious, so I'm going to try and do the opposite of that. Just add a bit more interest and life to this piece. And a bit more colour as well. So this is where I can get a bit more. Oh, I was going to use pan pastel, wasn't I? Let's do the windows first, and then I'll try the pan pastel. This is such a small scale, so I don't know if it'll work. But I do want to try and blend in this like wooden tabletop from the texture from the Tombow. So let's just neaten these up. Make it look like a window pane back here. And then, oh, I could have used the Posca actually for the tabletop as well. I think that would have worked. Let's just fill in this gap here. Okay. So the other thing that could work is just drawing like a wood grain texture. Let's try with the pan pastel first. We have got 5, I'll just wait till we get to the round 5. We've got 5 minutes left from now, so we still got plenty of time, I think, to add on any details and stuff. I don't know how yours are all going. I know it's hard to chat. I'm clearly having a problem with chatting and drawing today, but I know it's even harder to chat and type, so. But I hope it's all going okay. I'm going to grab my sponge. I'm going to try and use a smaller one just to try and get in between. Okay, so that's changing the colour completely. I don't know if it will show up, but it's definitely blending, and it's definitely adding a softness to this piece. I might have to like erase around it, but I do want to add on the wood texture, which I'll do on top with coloured pencils. Oh, I quite like that actually. I think this is turning out quite nicely. I'm going to add some definition onto these little shears or secateurs. Let's try and find a nice green. Just to add a bit more shading to it. Okay, I think that's quite nice. And then I'll do the same but with a grey for the blades. The pan pastel's making the table. Yeah, it is. This is the burnt sienna tint. And I never use it on its own, but over different colours it really changes things, and I really like the way that it works for like layering things. So I'm absolutely in love with pan pastels basically. It's definitely changed the colour of the Tombow. So the Tombow I was using was 992, but you wouldn't know it now that I've added that on top. So I'm going to add on this wood texture. I want quite a light brown for this. Maybe even a pink. Yeah, we'll go with this pink. So just trying to try and add on some texture. I mean, I might regret this. I might have preferred it before, but these are good places to experiment. We're in our sketchbook, it's a safe place. Oh, I've gone really wonky with the angles. I'm not sure if this will show up on this camera. Might use a darker one. Yeah. But if I don't like it, then I think I can just go over it again, like either with paint, and that's the other thing I have to constantly remind myself is nothing's permanent. Like you can always paint over things, especially on like if you are working on like bigger pieces of paper, like less so in your sketchbook because it's a little bit more like you can move on quite quickly. But like there's never really any mistakes in art because you can always change it later, and I think that's quite a freeing mindset. Okay, let's add a bit of shading under these objects, just to make them look a little bit more in the picture. So again, I'm using like the side of the pencil to try and add the texture in. How long have we got left? We've got just under a minute left, so it's kind of like last changes. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to soften it a little bit with the pan pastel, just with my finger. But this has turned out quite like a soft kind of dreamy. I really like the muted colours on this one, so this is actually turned out nicer than I expected. It's just funny because sometimes like the ones that you're most excited for turns out the worst, or the ones that you're not as happy with, and then the ones you weren't sure on actually sometimes have the best results. So maybe it's because we come in with less expectations, I'm not sure. Pencil. Okay, there's our time. Any last scribbles, feel free to add them. I'm quite pleased with that. If I hold this up, I might be able to show you a bit more of the texture. This is more green than yellow. The colours are definitely not showing very accurately, but you can kind of see the wood texture I was going for there. I'm going to add on the timings at the bottom. So that one was 20 minutes. And then the other one, how long was that? Oh, this one was 20 minutes too. And then our last two, let me change our reference. Oh, I'm really looking forward to this reference. Oh, thanks, Hannah. Yeah, there's lots of little textures in there which I really like. This is our next one. This lovely little cat. He was in the window on this greenhouse at Lake Abbey, and my dad was giving him some attention, and I went in and we had a nice little stroke, and it was just really sweet, and I just loved his little face. So I really wanted to include him today, even though I know like it doesn't necessarily go with the garden or country house theme, but I thought it gives us all a bit of a different topic. If you're not used to drawing animals, then it's a bit out of our comfort zone. Like, that's definitely true for me. Or if you love drawing animals, then it gives you a break from all the gardens. So I'm moving back into this sketchbook. Oh, thanks, Vicky. Let's put this piece of paper here, just so it doesn't smudge. Anything onto that art before I scanned it in. I'm going to set a timer, but I'm also going to adjust the colours, I think. So cats aren't very a topic that I ever draw, really. So this is going to be a bit tricky for me. But I'm going to start our 15-minute timer now. I also want to continue with like the panels that I've been doing, so I'm going to quickly draw a panel just to keep him a bit more contained on the page, and just to keep things like the same as the others, so that I can tell that they're from the same set of images. The one thing I really like in this is the succulents behind, so I definitely want to include that. So I'm going to start with gouache and go around the cat's face. That's the main thing I want. I might actually sketch with a pencil first, because I'm not very confident with cats. I think it's going to be quite tricky to get his, like, he just looks so happy and relaxed there, in the sun. Like, I cropped out my dad's hand, but he was giving him a nice little stroke, and I think it's going to be a bit tricky to try and capture that, but we'll give it our best shot. I'm also going to add in just some of his little facial features here. I mean, I'm not sure that his ear's in the right place, but we're going to go around it now. And I'm just going to do a base of green behind, vary the tone a little bit, and then I can come in with like darker colours later to define the succulents. And he's got the window ledge there. So I was really hopeful for this image. Like, I've got an idea in my head of how I want it to look, but that often doesn't work out. So I'm going to try and keep an open mind, because already I don't think I've really captured the angle of him, but it's okay. We'll see where we go. This is a tricky reference, so I haven't been very kind to us here. I'm just going to fill in the background with texture. I think I could have gone bigger. I think I've done his forehead too high. He's got a bit of a big forehead, so I'm just going to go in and fix that with the paint. And probably his ear could come forward, but I think we can fix that with other mediums. Yeah, cats are very tricky, so, and especially on 15 minutes, I think I would need to have a lot longer and like really take my time to sketch out things first. What I really want on this one is like a really soft texture, so I'm going to try and layer up a lot of different things. I'm going to try and use my pan pastel, so let's put that layer first, because that's a really nice soft colour as our base. And I don't have a brown. I do have a red oxide tint, so I might try that. Ooh, that's very red. Definitely not the right colour. We'll try and blend it in. Oh, we have a very red cat. We're going to have to problem solve in real time here. It's gone really bright as well, so I'm just going to change our exposure. That's a bit better. we'll try and fix this. So I need a brown, because this is not the colour of the cat. Let's try and get really soft. Oh, this is tricky. Let's try and add in his little pink nose, make that a bit. Oh, I think it's because he's too far away, maybe, from his eye. Let's try and move it. So to try and move it, I'm going to darken around where it was, like basically colour over it, and move it to the right. Doesn't like going over that, but I think that's more accurate. So like again, we can change things if they're wrong, and like cover it up or rub it out, or maybe it was better before, but we'll keep trying to work at it. And then I'll add on his little, so I think his ear's in the wrong place, so I'll move that forward as well. And just try and make bolder decisions. Yeah, try and add on his little mouth. Okay, so this is, I saw this image and I was like, oh, that's very cute. I didn't really think about how much it is out of my comfort zone, and that I'll have to be doing it live and tackling this with an audience, but we're all in this together, so we'll see where we go. His whiskers and his little mouth is not quite right. Have I got a pink? Just trying to find a nice pink for his nose, but it's kind of like a salmon pink, which I don't really have. I don't think I've really like stylized it as well. I always picture cats in my head as totally different to how I draw them on the page. They are very difficult to draw, aren't they, Emma? Bit of pink. Especially, I think this is a difficult angle as well. We'll just keep justifying it to ourselves. And I think like the texture as well, like for the fur, it's all very soft. Like I want to try and get in some of these stripes. So I'm just using like the soft side of the pencil. Let's see, how long have we got left? 6 minutes and 12 seconds left. So this cat is tricky, taking longer than I thought, but I think I will move on to the succulents at some point. So let's move his ear forward. I think that's better. And then I can just colour over what was there, just to get rid of it. And then bring his back down. So I think that's a bit better. I wish I had more like colours of pastel now, because I think that's the softness that I want. But I don't have those colours, so I'm going to try and mix up some paint, just to try and soften that and bring in a bit more like texture. I don't think his eye is in the right place either, but I don't think I'm ruining it, so I think I'm trying to fix it. I don't think I'm like at completely lost cause with this, but definitely tricky. Like, some people make cats look so easy to draw. There's also like the window frames coming in from the side, so I'm going to try and draw that in because I don't know what the back of this cat looks like. Where's my indigo? So I'm going to try and darken this again. And then I'm going to start drawing in the succulents behind. I'll use a green for that, because then it kind of looks like he is in the greenhouse. So I'm just going to use simple line work for that. And you could definitely, like, I think I would want to do this again with more time and a bit more practice and some like longer sketching first. But I think like a succulent, like this background next to a cat, is a really interesting image itself, or like topic, and like this was real, you know, like I just stumbled upon this, and I think this could be a really interesting one to take further. So I might have to do that in like maybe my daily art challenge, of like drawing a cat with some succulents. Not necessarily as a competition, but definitely it gives me some more ideas. And I think it would work out really nicely if I executed it in the way that I've got in my head, you know. So I don't think I've quite captured his like happiness being sat there in the sun. And this is not how I imagined this drawing to look like. It's even with the succulents, but it's definitely a good practice, and like I can take from this that I want to explore cats and succulents in the future. And like I am trying to do a topic more than once. With like my daily challenge last year, I was moving on quite quickly, whereas with this one I want to explore a little bit more, and so this could be a really good way to do that. So you can hold me to that on my Instagram posts. Where's the cat with the succulents? Because I think that would be a really interesting topic. So I'm just filling in some areas around the background just to tie in this indigo. And again, adds a bit more texture. Oops, we're a bit far over. We've got 1 minute and 15 seconds left. I think I'm going to darken around him again. So I'm not sure what else I can add to try and fix him, to make him how I want. Maybe I'll give him a rosier cheek and pink ears. But I also got to be careful that I don't hate it as it is. I think for someone who doesn't draw cats, it's not bad. So I've got to be careful that in these last few minutes I don't suddenly do something that changes it completely. It's definitely not where I want it to be, but there's a lot of texture here which I do like. I think I'll add some more texture here. Where's my paintbrush? just going to fill in this because it felt a bit unfinished at the bottom and I don't want it to, so because I think I'm going to leave this one here, not come back to it and start afresh with a new cat. Okay, there we go. So that's our, how long was that, 15 minutes up. I'm just going to add in a bit of white to his face. Okay, I've got to stop there. That's our 15 minutes, so I'm going to add that timing down the bottom. There's the pencil. Let's use this one. I mean, I think that was a good... Oh, I'll have to wait till the paint's dry. A good practice. This is obviously not right. I don't know if I can add more to that there. But it's okay. It is what it is. The next one we have got is half an hour. So I am running a little bit over. So if you need to leave at any point, then obviously feel free to do so. I'm just going to get our 30-minute reference up. So this is quite a complicated house, which is why I gave us 30 minutes as like a warm down almost, like we can take our time with this one. I'm going to start our timer now. Okay, so 30 minutes starts now, which to me feels like quite a long time, so I'm not like rushing in, but obviously I know it's not a very long time, especially for a reference like this. But I am going to stick with A5. Sometimes if I have a longer amount of time, I'll go bigger. But I'm going to stick with A5 and do it next to this little cat. And again, I'm going to be using gouache for the base shapes. So there's quite a lot to this image. It's kind of like orange brick and then the blue sky, so I always like to start with the blue sky. I don't have any clean water, so I'm not going to mix up a blue. I think I'm just going to use dry media for that. So I've got my light cobalt blue Neocolor and my light cobalt blue Caran d'Ache Luminance pencil. So I'm going to do that for the sky first. And just go in around these clouds because I haven't got any clean water. And I want this to be a nice clean blue sky. And then I might come in with, I'm going to use the pencil to map out the house shape. So I want to get in that very tall V shape of the roof there. And again, this one there's a lot of angles, so it will probably come out wonky, and that's okay. I think that will give it some charm. Not that it needs any more, but I think that it's okay if the perspective is a bit off. Then we've got chimney. And then I'll go in with my base layer of gouache over the top, and then I can come in again later with coloured pencils to refine anything. So this is quite handy to be able to map out like where the main thing is, and then I'll go in with the gouache around it. So Christiane was sitting and watch. This is just way too difficult. But oh, you did 4 hours, so that's amazing, Christiane. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed just like watching. And like that's totally valid as well, just knowing when to stop. This is a very complicated image, which is why I'm kind of sketching out first. So I will go in with the gouache after this. And then I want to put in the fence here. But it just gives me a base. I wanted to obviously include the house as the main thing, which is why it's important to get that right first. And then I'm going in with like the trees around it. And because I've got those sketch lines, I know exactly where that tree stops. But if you did want to be like super loose, then obviously you can skip that first step. It goes quite dark back here. I have a cup of tea, nice and relaxing. That sounds perfect. As soon as this is over, I'm gonna get a cup of tea. But I have got my water here, so I'm gonna go for a really light green down here. Actually, again, I want to come in with my pan pastel, I think. I think that would be quite nice at the bottom. Let's add a bit more yellow to my palette, just to get the right shade of green. So there are lots of flowers here in this like front bed. So I'm going to try and leave that a little bit blank so I can come in later. But I'm also leaving the path shape, but I'm not leaving like where the fence is. So that will go over the top of this paint. That's the plan. And then obviously we've got the path here. So I think I'm going to come in with my Posca. So my big thick Posca pen. Just to lay down that path. It's a really nice warm neutral colour. And then I'll probably use near colours for the fence. But this is like the behind layer, and then I'll do the foreground, which is obviously the fence, last. Just debating whether I do the house. Obviously it's not this colour, but it does give me a good base for going on top of. And I'm doing it, so I guess I'm doing it. We'll just put in those windows. I don't think I have like the right shade for this brick house, so at least this gives me something I can work on top of. And then we've got another window here. And I don't have room for this like archway, so I'll just fill that in and do the same on this side. When I saw this house, so this is somewhere in Wiltshire, I can't remember where, but it just looked so picturesque, and I thought it would be a nice one to do. But obviously it's very, let me fix the exposure, it is very complicated. Let's bring down the brightness a little bit. Hannah stopped to just watching Close to Bedtime. Oh yeah, I know it's really late for you. Too drained to focus on anything requiring good perspective. I'll totally get that, Hannah. It's really lovely to have you here just hanging out. And I hope you have been able to wind down. It's not been too stressful before bed. Okay, so I'm going to... What should I do next? I think I'm going to put in some brown for the roof. Where's that Tombow? I'm going to too light as to what the actual colour is, but it gives me a good base, which I can then go on top with coloured pencils, because it's obviously a lot more of a reddish brown, this whole building with the brick and the roof. But I just want to put a base layer down. It feels a little bit safer than going straight in with the darker colour, so I can try and build on top, which again gives me more texture as well. I forgot to do the bottom of that window, so this will obviously have flowers in front as well, but there's our basic shape of the house. Let's see how long we've got left. We have 21 minutes and 40 seconds, so roughly 10 minutes for this very basic shape and outline. I don't like the shape of this cloud, so I'm going to fix that as well. One thing I've noticed in terms of the way that I work is I often come back to things, so it's not like I'll do the sky and then I'll move on. I'm very much a case of doing something and then coming back to it later, rather than, like, there aren't any defined steps really in my work, even with like details, although that's generally the last layer I do. You know, I'm not afraid of coming back in with paint if it needs it, and I think that helps keep things more interesting for me as I draw, as well as obviously being able to change things that aren't right. Just because I did it before doesn't mean I can not fix it. And I think that helps keep things a bit looser as well. So I'm just coming in with a darker brown, well, a warmer brown, to darken up the reef a little bit. And I don't want to go too dark yet, because I do want to add in dark brown lines over the top. I've got a huge amount of brown, so I can keep adding to it. Let's use this one for... actually I might use the dark indigo for that. Or maybe I'll use this. This is the sepia 50%. I have a castle brown, which is darker, but it's got a really chalky texture, so I prefer to use this brown rather than that one. Okay, there's our roof. That one's not quite right, but that's alright. Do the same here. And I'm just going to keep adding to it, just to keep adding in some textures. And then like the little details. This is the bits that I love. I love adding in like chimneys, like when I'll do the lines for the roofing, the roof tiles. And like, although I haven't moved on to the rest of the house yet, I think doing the bits that I want to, and like that brings me joy, helps keep the drawing fun for me. So I'm not doing it in an order here. That actually makes sense. It would make sense to do this last, but I look forward to doing this bit, so I'm just doing it now. Okay, so that's the roof done. We might be going a bit dark, but I think you can see okay. Let's do the same thing with the colour here. Being a little bit more cautious on the Posca. Let's try and be a bit braver. So this has got dark, really dark beams. Like the very classic Tudor-esque house. Maybe that would work with the indigo. Let's try that, because it's kind of like a black, but I don't want to put in a black. I think that's going to be too dark. So I'm just going to use this. Oh, this isn't the indigo, this is the Payne's Grey. I'm using the Payne's Grey again. I don't know where... my desk is such a mess right now, so I don't know where that is. But that... I've gone quite low with this one, so I'm going to just pretend that there's another beam there. And there. And then same again on this side. I'm trying to be a bit braver with these lines. You can see, like, as I've gone on a little bit. I've gotten more confident with adding them in. So putting down that first line obviously makes a big difference. Where is that indigo? Will I be able to find it? That's the question. Here it is, here it is. So I'm going to use this to be darker again on the window panes. Let's just add top and bottom here, because I want this to be like darker than what I've got there already. I just want to have that difference. That's an open window. Oh, I don't think that worked. Let's not do that again. Let's just stick to our little panes. I love adding in these bits. I think it really makes it into a house when you add in the windows and all the little details. And then here, so there is a line there. Oops, that's a little big. I never do these evenly. It doesn't matter. And then we've got these rounded ones down here. Again, just lots of little lines for the panels. It does help having a slightly blunt pencil as well for these. This one's slightly too sharp. So it's harder to make the like rectangle shapes. I've also not got enough on this one. I should have gone down one more row. Oh well. Okay, let's try and add a bit more colour. So I'm going in on its side again, just because of the texture, but I do want to go over the top with a different brown just to try and get some of these tile patterns in. So like we've got like a little scallop edge here, so I'll add that on. And here, let's do it here as well. Just the suggestion of it really. And then let's add in some brickwork here. Just a bit more detail here, because obviously it's a lot more simple than this side of the house. Add some shading in. And then I'll go down here. I've got to remember to add in the flowers. So this is like a little archway. And another one. It's quite an interesting house. I really enjoy like characterful houses like this. I think they're fun to draw despite being quite tricky. Just darken that to show that's in shadow. And I'm not doing a neat edge because that's where the flower beds are. What I will do, so I do need to make this look the same colour as the rest of it, but I don't want to cover up too much. I think I might put, oh, this would be a really good pastel for that actually. You can see like how my process changes. I might not have thought to use this if I hadn't done it on the cat, and then I just suddenly have an idea of it. So like, obviously nothing's planned out. That is quite dark. I hope I don't regret this. But it definitely helped as well to have that Posca base and to put this on top. I still haven't really used these on their own. I've been using them on top of things as like a finishing layer rather than, I haven't tried them just on their own. Okay, that's really warmed things up. It looks a bit saturated on the camera. It's not quite that bad in real life. Let's see if I can fix it because my hand looks really orange. I mean, I do have pan pastel on it, but and I will also do a little time check for us. So we have got 11 minutes 15 seconds left. So we're definitely over halfway, but I'm quite pleased with how this house is looking. One thing I do want to add on is like the suggestion of bricks. My hand still looks really orange. This is more red in real life, but I haven't really got the tone right on this camera. It looks like I've got a really bad fake tan job on my hands, but I'm very pale, so my hands are not this orange. Neither is the house. I will add on some images to the post, and also when I share this to Instagram later, because this is obviously my daily art for today, and you'll be able to see the accurate colours then. Apologies that it's not quite right now. So I'm just putting on some suggestions of brick here. I'm also going to get that eraser and just rub out this here. So you can see like the pan pastel erases really nicely. So where I went over, I'm just going to rub that out. And then I want to add on the pan pastel to the front lawn. Let's get my green sponge. I have been tangoed. What a throwback, Emma. I can't say I've ever touched fake tan in my life, but I do love a bit of tango, so. Okay, so I'm just adding on a bit of yellow. I just find that warms up greens really nicely. And then I'll go in with the Hansa green. Just adds such a lovely texture. And again, where I've gone over, I can just rub that out. And then I'm going to add on the flower beds. That's something that I definitely want to include. There's obviously a lot of different coloured flowers, little roses, which I'm not sure if I'll be able to add in. It's weird that they're by the door. And there is quite a big bush here which I haven't allowed for. And I use some near colours as well. And this path doesn't seem to lead anywhere. Let's add suggestion there. It also is a lot darker back here, so we'll add some shading there as well as. So yeah, there was a lot of colourful flowers here, but I don't think the near colour is going to go over. Let's see, we'll add a bit of yellow, and then there's the pink. There's a very hot pink. I don't know if that'll be a bit much. Let's try it. Maybe it will really stand out. That's not too bad. I think that's okay. Just adds a bit of colour to it. And then let's use my favourite colour at the moment, the sky blue near colour, wherever he's gone. I can't see him on the floor. This is always the case whenever I draw and use lots of materials. Is this it? No. Oh, here he is. Here he is. I found him, it's okay. Let's add some. So, I like to use him for like, not just flowers, I like to use him like elsewhere in the sky, but I'm actually not sure. Maybe I'll use him at the foreground here. And then I do want to add in some lines on the lawn again, because that's like my little thing I like to do. And then we shall add on the fence in the front. So like we've gone from the background and then the main focus, and now we're moving forwards into the foreground, which is this wooden fence. So let me try and find a near colour for this, because I know it will go over what's in the background. So this is beige. Let's see how long we've got left. 6 minutes and 18 seconds. I know that I said this was going to end at 2:30, and we have overrun, so if you need to dash off, then by all means, please do. If you need to go to bed, then please do. I'm just going to add on my picket fence. I don't know if that blue at the front looks a bit odd, so I'm going to try and add in a bit more green as well there. Because this kind of looks a bit floaty at the moment, so I think I will come in with some more near colour, just to sort of make it look like it's on grass. And then we've got our gate here, and I just wanted to do something really like bold, which is why I went with near colour here. And the perspective is wrong, the gate should be like the fence lines should be closer to each other. Let's add some more in between, but it definitely gives the idea there's a fence there. I'm sure we did that in another one where I said that. That feels like deja vu. Let's add some more texture to the ground. You could definitely define this gate more. I might use a darker brown. Oh, I don't have it with me. Let's see if I can use a different brown. My dark brown near colour snapped, which is sad. So many are snapping lately. I must have got more heavy-handed as time's gone on. So that's in half now. I don't know where it's gone. So I'm just trying to add on a bit more like shading to this. It's not going over the near colour, but it's going next to it, which is working okay. And I'll add on some suggestion here of the pink. Add on a bit more green. The time's gone really quick. I thought that half an hour would be too little amount after we've been working so fast, but obviously I always get it wrong. Oh, this is going over quite nicely. This is the dark indigo. Just define this fence a little bit more. It's funny how some pigments go over the near colour better than others. Obviously it's not as strong as it would be on its own. Just darken up these. So now it's more of just like finessing, cleaning up any other bits that we want, or adding in any last bits. So we've got 2 minutes 50 seconds left, so time for like the finessing part. What do I want to add to this? I think I've got all the main parts I wanted to in. Can add some little grass suggestions here. Just trying to decide if I need to add anything else. So add some yellow up there. And then maybe add some more blue to the sky. This is the point where like I don't need these extra minutes, but if I want to refine the bits I've done, then I can do that, because I think I've got everything I wanted to on here. I can add on a few more lines here. And just neaten things up really. Just some pastel here which I'm erasing, just to neaten up that window. And it does erase really nicely. It does smudge the luminance though, so I'll have to be careful there. Let's see if I can fix the colour whilst you have got 1 minute 20 seconds left. That's a little bit better, I think. It's more of like a burgundy rather than an orange. I think it's always going to be a bit tricky to capture the colours, because even like phone cameras look different, and like my monitor looks different to your monitors, so but like I said, I will take pictures of everything and colour correct them so you can see how it looks. My hands are covered in pan pastel, but they're not completely orange. Okay, there we go. So that's the end of our drawing session today. Let me take off the reference and then I can show you what I've done. Oh, thanks, Kat. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Transition. I had a lot of fun. I always worry before these that I'm gonna just like crumble under pressure and I won't like anything that I've done. But I'm really pleased with these. I like the softness in some of these. So where did we start? We started with these two. I will add the timing on this one. So obviously like our 10-minute warm-up, and then the thistles. The colour's obviously not showing up. This is more of a green. You can kind of see it in that light. And then went on to our 20-minute studies. So I think this page is my favourite. This one is my favourite out of the two of them, I think. This is just in my comfort zone and I like the texture, although it is quite simple. And then we've got this still life here. And I do like this motif on the vase. And then we went on to these ones. So, do you know what? I don't think the cat is awful. It definitely isn't how I imagined it, and could do with some neatening up for sure. But I do like the house, and actually I think they sit quite well together. Vicky, lots of fun even though it was way out of your comfort zone. Thank you so much to everyone who does come on these and comes out of your comfort zone. I know it's quite a lot to ask, but it's really lovely to have you, and I really do appreciate you being here. And Emma's hand hurts now. I'm sorry, Emma. My desk is an absolute state. But yeah, this cat, you can tell it's a cat, so I quite like the dark background, and there's definitely a motif and theme here that I want to expand upon, and then the house. So yeah, I'm really glad you were all here. Thank you for being here. Oh, hi Jessica, it was lots of fun. The last one really showed what I need to work on. Oh, I'm glad it was helpful. I'm really glad you're here. Thank you everybody for being here. Han really enjoyed it, would like to go back to the cat succulent reference too. Find time drawing so tricky. Oh, I pushed you out your comfort zone. That's what I'm here for. I seem to be really good at that. So I think we're all out of our comfort zones today, so I do appreciate that. And I'm really glad you had fun as well. I think there were some tricky references, but if you did want to share, I'd love to see it on Instagram. We do have the hashtag Katie Moody Patreon, or you can tag me in stories. It's always really nice to see your work, and if you are watching on replay, then likewise, I'd love to see what you're creating. Kate's made a mess as usual. Oh, you feel your work is more cohesive than usual. That's really cool. I feel like it's the same with mine. I think you can tell that they're all from the same like session, and I think that's because of the colours. I use the same colour palette and the same sort of textures, so that's really cool to hear. You're welcome, Hannah. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Had a really lovely afternoon, such a nice way to round off the week. And yeah, you're welcome to use the references again, keep coming back to them or watch the replay. And I hope you have a really lovely weekend. Thank you for spending your Friday with me, and I'll speak to you all really soon. We do have, if you're on the Sketch Club tier and up, we've got another session next week for Zoom, so I will be posting the poll for times and dates tomorrow. So thank you everybody, and have a lovely weekend. I'll speak to you all soon. See you later.